Thank you, Elaine, for the introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, my name is Monika, and I work as BDR for Varicent. And in my role, I cover pretty large region, which includes Southern Europe, Benelux, and Central and Eastern Europe. And when I think about our job in general, I always think about flexibility. We always need to adjust to prospects' needs, approach them in a correct way, listen to them very carefully, because every single detail during our conversation might result extremely valuable piece of information, which would lead us to the success, obviously. And to achieve that, we usually use our highly developed soft skills, which is related more to the psychological factor of prospecting. But during working with different countries, we cannot forget about cultural and linguistic factor of prospecting. And Federico Fellini said that a different language is always a different vision of life. And I think that it does have reflection in business as well. So when we think about flexibility in developing and prospecting, I would like to talk tonight about three main factors: cultural adaptation, linguistic adaptation, and tools we may use. So my first point will be cultural factor, which includes primarily localization of our messaging and adapting it to a target group. In translation, for example, it appears as well. We can use different strategy of translation. When one, for example, is domestication, which means that we adapting and adjusting the form and the content of our message depending of the target language and target group. It does appear as well in marketing and translation of commercial, which is the process of adapting a message from one language to another, maintaining its intent, style, tone, and context. And successfully adapted message provokes the same emotions and carries the same implications in the target language. So in prospecting, I think we don't necessarily need such a detailed process, but we do want to achieve the same goal, regardless of country or language. We want to schedule a meeting with our prospect. And to achieve that, we would need a different strategies and form. So based on my experience and my observation, for example, when I'm prospecting in the Netherlands and I talk to Dutch people, they usually are big fans of short, straightforward messages. They like statistics, they like numbers, they like clients' testimonies. And when I'm prospecting in Southern Europe, I use slightly more funky, slightly more descriptive tone, using anecdotes, mentioning things we might have in common, because I have observed that like just raw information they might find boring and normally treated as a spam. So it doesn't work there. So the content of the message is the same. I'm presenting my company, I'm presenting our product. The goal is the same. I want a meeting with our prospect, but the form of the message is different, and I think we should be very aware of it. My next point will be linguistic adaptation. And obviously, first idea we are going to think about, it's clearly language. But again, it's not going to be just a language barrier we can overcome by speaking target language group. But the language itself carries a series of details that then contribute to our success and failure. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time to develop this topic deeply, but maybe better because I'm a massive passionate linguist. So I could talk about this, and it probably would be boring to the majority of us. But I will illustrate it in a simple example. In English language is easy. We are going to use always the form you when we are addressing our prospect, and it works perfectly, no problem. In Polish, that would be treated very disrespectful because we always need to use the form per sir, lady, miss, mister. And when we talk to someone we don't know, especially in business context, and if additionally this person is, for example, older than us, we might be sure, and we'll address our message per you, we might be sure that we're not going to receive any response. So another factor we should be aware. And the third one, I wanted to talk a bit about tools. So nowadays we are lucky to have a big group of tools we can use during our prospecting, which is cold calling, emails, videos, LinkedIn messaging, and might be a slight generalization, but it's just based on my observation. I have observed some patterns, which tools particularly work better depending on the country. And again, I will use my motherland, Polish people, they are not the biggest fan of cold calling, because when you cold call them, they immediately think you want to sell them something quickly, and they treat it more as a telemarketing. So I have observed that it's not the best tool there. Way much better is email, or with description of the solution, or maybe a video. When another example, in Belgium, I think I have never received any response for my email, when calling works perfectly and brought me many opportunities. So yeah, we should be aware of tools we are using depending on the country as well. And all that said, now I will be a little bit of devil's advocate, and I will say that it's all just generalization, and my personal approach is to always treat each prospect very individually, in a very individual way, because we never know, but it does exist some patterns and business ethics characteristic to a particular country. So I would say it's not about assuming that something will happen, but it's about being prepared for different scenarios and observing what is working, what is not working. And general conclusion would be that in our position, our job, we always may face plenty of obstacles, but I think the clue here is to change obstacles into our benefits and into fun, because I think that it might be slightly more difficult, for example, to work with more countries and switching between languages, but at the same time it's very interesting to me, and it's a great fun. So yeah, I recommend it to everyone. Thank you.